All right, now we're going to take a look at a couple of graphs and just determine what is the amplitude and period. Now we don't know if these are graphs of the sine function or the cosine function, and to be able to answer the question here, it actually doesn't matter. All right, so again, amplitude, if you remember, that is the distance from your x-axis to your maximum point or your minimum point. So if I go from my x-axis to my maximum points, in this case I would be going a distance of 2. And same thing would be true if I go down to my minimum point. X-axis to my minimum point would also be a distance of 2. Okay, so there is your amplitude. Now for period, so this is one cycle. So you need to pick out a pattern. That would be another way of looking at this. And not everybody's going to pick out the same pattern. All right, so I'm going to pick out, let's say, this hill. So I'm just going to trace here right next to it so you'll see exactly which part I'm talking about. I've got this hill, and then I've got this part that's the valley. But see, once I leave this point, I would start another hill. So like I would be starting this same pattern over again. So this part that I've gone back over here with blue would be considered one cycle or one pattern. So the period would be the distance from where that started to where it stopped. So if you're, this is just normal numbers on any number line. So if you go from -3 to +1 on your x-axis here, that is a total distance of 4. So 4 would be your period for this example. All right, the next one. Okay, so again, your amplitude is the distance from the x-axis to your maximum point or x-axis to your minimum point. So whichever way you measure there, you would be going a distance of 3. So there's your amplitude. All right, so again with period, and a couple of different, like I said, you're not always going to pick out the same pattern. So let's say, for instance, let's just start down here at -3 pi over 4. So if I take this valley, and then I take this hill. All right, so I'm starting at -3 pi over 4, and I'm going to 1 pi over 4. All right, so since they both have pi in the numerator and they're both over 4, that's going to make this a little bit easier. So first off, just look at it as -3 to +1. Okay, so -3 to +1 is a distance of 4. So then just put the pi back on the top. And of course, they both had denominators of 4, but that would end up then reducing to be just pi. So the distance from -3 pi over 4 to +1 pi over 4 would be a distance of just pi. Now, another part here that would be an easy part to look at instead of the section that I did, I'll go back over it with a different pen. If I actually started at 0 and followed this, see, if you notice the part that I've gone over here in black, so you have a repeat of that same pattern over here. But this part here would be real easy to calculate the length of, because if you're starting at this point, that's at x equals 0, and it goes all the way down to x equal pi. So the distance from 0 to pi would then be just pi, which is exactly what I had already figured out.